Well, I am really happy. I don't know if you can tell. I can finally got my druid. I got all my previous on this bad boy. I am ready to rock tonight. So you've been kept
What
up
have
to
you been
date?
playing on it, Feral?
Yeah, you've been kept up to
Yeah.
date with the bear changes?
So I know that they finally fixed the runes, but how's that playing out? Is it like a lot better now?
Oh, I can already feel it a lot better. The threat of lacerate is absolutely bonkers. The cleaving still sucks.
Oh, hell yeah.
Cleaving absolutely sucks. But you can
Damn.
like
Oh,
now
well.
berserk and you can mangle and lacerate 3 targets at the same time. So like you got a lot of variety over there. You can go mangle and lacerate. That was basically the big change. I think I got it somewhere here in the news, but oh yeah, there we go. It was a hot fix. That's the part that really gets me about the bear change. That's why I thought it was gonna be spicy today. Like right here, hot fixes. Lacerate move to the leg slot and lacerate threat increase substantially. That's the 2 buffs right there. So did you have a feral bear in your raid yet?
Yeah, I had a bear main tank in the guild run that I showed up to, and it seemed totally fine. But I'm not really aware of what it's like if the melee DPS are really high or whatever. I mean, I'm not sure if hunters maybe have threat reduction talents or whatever, but not too familiar with anything other than that they made it so you can do the lacerate and the mangle now. Which, do you do a lot more damage too, or is the damage like still like
No,
whatever, but the threat's a lot better?
The damage is absolute crap, but the threat of lacerate is really, really high, like the threat bonus. So you can actually do some wacky things. Like, basically, Mangle is supposed to buff your lacerate, and lacerate is supposed to go in between mangles, and of course, Agren thought it was a good idea to not give us both. Like, the part that really gets me is that you read the tooltip of Gore, right? Like, Gore is that it was intended to work with lacerate and mangle at the same time. Lacerate was supposed to reset your mangle, if I'm not mistaken, yeah. So, they didn't give it to us in phase 3 at launch. Like, it was very clear in the rules they intended it to work this way. Like, they admitted it, and they still didn't give it to us until like 4 days ago. I just don't understand what the hell goes on in there, man.
Yeah, they do some wacky stuff when it comes to game balance, that's for sure.
Yeah, but like, I don't know, I just feel a lot stronger. We're gonna see how much strong the threat is. What is really nice about the bear in Sunken Temple, because the damage is so bonkers, is they got a lot of armor. A lot. They are also immune to crit, so they got that going on for them, but we got a bark skin on bear form, that's a 20% damage reduction too. So I think this might be one of the best tanks to survive Eranikos and Morphas now.
Yeah, I'll be playing a feral DPS with my guild pretty soon. And
you're
I'm really
Druid?
curious to see what the yeah, I'm curious to see what the what you call it, the external is going to be like. Are you able to, as a druid DPS, have the rune where you can bark skin and form?
No, you. It's I got my druid right here. Actually, I'm gonna tell you right now where that's the slot that it takes. In bark skin is over here. You lose gore, and gore is like shredded. It gives you a reset on cooldown. It's super important. So,
damn, so you can't get away with that.
No, I mean, you could. It's not a huge deal. It's a 5% chance. Like, you're not gonna lose that much damage, I'm sure. But if you wanna actually go DPS, you can't. The actual sacrifice, if you wanna go cat, if you're gonna wanna be the off tank and you don't wanna swap in between fights, is that you cannot get survival of the fittest. You're missing out on wild strikes, and that is a huge issue. I mean, you can still get Wind Fury from somebody else, of course, as you guys know, wild strike is better. I don't recall exactly why. Why was it that wild strike was better?
Oh, it's got the AP scaling. It's like 20% more AP on the hit, I believe. And
there
Wind
you
Fury
go.
has a flat amount of AP bonus.
Yeah, so
yeah, definitely gonna have wild strikes.
so you kind of have to go wild strikes. So that means that if you are better and you don't have and you have wild strikes, you can get critted. So you can pick up Morphas as you can taunt, and you can probably survive like 3 or 4 swings, but you're gonna die eventually, because eventually you're gonna get crit. And that's gonna screw you. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like in our first Eranikos kill, I died at like 2% and a bear picked it up and he killed it. I think he also died actually. Nice. Then he went loose and like the raid finally killed him at like barely. But yeah, it was. They are useful. They are not a great tank as an off tank, but I think if you are doing fights that require you to do 2 tanks and then fights that require you to go 1 tank, I think there's very hardly an argument. I think the bear is probably the best when you can go for that. If you got the time to change your runes in between fights.
Yeah, Druid seems like it's gonna be a pretty fun time. I'm gonna really like not having to worry about buffs for myself. I also think it'll be really. I always like playing classes that buff melee. Like being a shaman, I
Yeah.
thought was fun in Classic Era, for example. I was always into that, I would say.
It's just the leader of the pack buff is like such a mangle. Mangle. People forget about mangle all the time. It's just 3% crit from leader of the pack. That is huge for warriors in particular. Other classes maybe cannot feel it as much. For a warrior, you can really feel if you're missing it. But mangle is a 30% damage increase on deep wounds. If you look at like the logs of like the top DPSers, like Kalando, he had like 22% of his damage was deep wounds. Can you imagine if he didn't run Mangle? He would lose like what? Like 150 DPS, something stupid like that.
Yeah, I'm curious how well they do relative to the other classes, because I haven't really peeked at it too much. I hope that they do pretty competitive DPS, but even if they're just an amazing addition to a raid group, I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun playing it. I like the idea of being able to hop out of form too and do, especially with like the dual specs. It's gonna make the hybrid nature of Druid a lot more fun than it used to be back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, like, I still believe to this day that if Vanilla Druids got actual gear, they would have been pretty decent. But they didn't have any gear upgrades from Molten Core all the way to AQ40, I think, so that really screwed them. With what we know now, without the Crowd Pummeler, it wouldn't work, of course, but I think that the Druid is actually, like, super fun. I was super upset when the Druid sucked for most of Phase 2. I had to heal. I hate healing. Now I feel like a real class. Not that the Warrior is wrong, I love the Warrior too, it's doing great, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really unfortunate they made a lot of the melee not super hot other than Hunters in Phase 2, and they did the bleed reduction since it just makes the Feral bring less, so then there's less of a reason to bring them.
I think it's just
Ferals are pretty in short supply anyways.
Yeah, especially in the Alliance, like you don't have Shamans in the Alliance, so if you don't have a Feral, you're screwed. You need a Feral. Like if you feel like you wanna play Feral but people don't care about you anymore, play Alliance. People are gonna care. But I think that the whole armor nerf was a thing of like Blizzard is so terrified of warrior nerfs of the warrior community and how they mold that instead of nerfing the warrior when they thought the warrior was gonna be too strong, they just nerfed every other melee. That was a little odd. That was a weird choice, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think Blizzard's very good at balancing the game in general, but I do think they made a nice raid of Sunken Temple for the most part. I like the trash in Sunken Temple a whole lot. Bosses,
did you get to farm it?
Later ones are good, but no, they take that out. They make it like lock you now if you farm it. Cause I saw people.
No, but like I was doing it with my guild the other day. Like basically before everybody found out, you could go in and like 5-man the trash in Sunken Temple. It took like a lot. It was really fun because it took a lot of like stones and like kiting and stuff. But you could farm all the seeds. They were about 15 gold, and within 2 days they dropped down to like 5 gold now. So we made a lot of money. Now it's over. People figured out you can just 5-man the trash and farm the seeds. But yeah, that was a lot of money. The trash in Sunken Temple it's really scary. They do a lot of damage.
Doing a Mara farm while we're doing this, trying to see am I about to get my ass kicked.